Hi, welcome back to my channel. So I have been gone for a very long time due to the fact that I had a baby. Yeah, me. I've already filmed this video once and I didn't like how it turned out, and I was like all over the place, and I'm probably still going to be all over the place in this video. But yeah, I'm just gonna redo it and see if I like it better. So she is laying in her crib, like right there. So any noises you hear, she's awake, she's right there. She'll probably cry at any second of this video. So let's just get into it. On either like Wednesday the 16th of August, late at night, or early in the morning on August 17th, I went to bed and I was wearing a pad because the previous Tuesday I went to my OB and he did what's called a stretch and sweep, which I recommend don't get it done. No, it's just a really good old feel around in your junk, and it's kind of really terrible. So I got that done, and I don't drive, so we were walking back to catch the bus, me and my boyfriend, my fiance. And the college is close by, so I usually go from my OB to the college and use the bathroom because there's a lot of pregnant ladies using the bathroom at my OB. So I just went to the bathroom because while walking to the bus stop, I felt like I was peeing myself. And when I got to the bathroom, there was like a ton of stuff, and I just thought it was like my mucus plug or whatever, like some of that coming out. So I just went home. And throughout, like from Tuesday to like early Thursday morning, it happened like that a little bit, but not to the extent that it happened on like early Thursday morning. I got up to go to the bathroom because pregnant ladies use the bathroom like 24/7. So yeah, I got up to use the bathroom and stuff was coming out, and I was like, okay, this is not me peeing myself, this is not mucus plug, this is my water breaking. So I went to the bathroom and I went pee, and it was still coming out. My boyfriend went to the bathroom for a while, and while he was in there, it was still coming out. And I was standing there, so we called labor and delivery, and we went there, we took a cab because I was like, what if it's not my water breaking and we just wake our parents up for nothing? So I did call my mom though and tell her, like, I'm going to the hospital, I think my water broke, and all of that stuff. So we get in the cab, we go to the hospital, and in my hospital you have to go up to a third floor. Like, the main floor is the second floor, so up one floor to labor and delivery. So we went up the stairs. We had to get let in because the hospital is all locked. So we're going up the stairs. I'm leaking everywhere. My pants are soaked. My underwear is soaked. I get to triage at labor and delivery, and she gives me a gown to change into. And when I come back, it's like running down my leg. And she's like, oh, is that fluid running down your leg? And it looked like if your self-tanner ran, that's what it looked like. I'm like, yeah. And so I'm laying on this bed, and she takes this swab, and if it's your water, it turns like blue or black or whatever. So she did a swab, and it changed color. So it obviously was my water breaking. So my boyfriend called all our parents and was like, yeah, her water did break at 2 in the morning, mind you. We called my sister, and like, she was incoherent. She was like not responding on the phone. She was like, yeah, whatever. Like, literally, I assumed that's what she looked like. She does that, and they get a room ready for us. So yeah, so we go to this room, the delivery room, I guess you would call it, and I get hooked up to like the IV, and I was GBS positive, so I get hooked up to my antibiotics, and all that stuff, and they check how dilated I am, and I was the same as I was on Tuesday, only 1.5 centimeters dilated. So they gave me like Oh, I should say, she did poop in me, the baby, so my water breaking had like a color to it. It was like yellow, and that's why I thought it was like mucus plug on Tuesday, because like it didn't break on Tuesday. Like it was like trickling my water, but it fully broke on Thursday morning. But she did poop in me, and so it was like a weird color, and that was leaking out of me for like ever and ever. And it was awkward because you're like laying in the hospital bed and your family is in the room with you and you're just like leaking. Yeah, it's great. The whole time I was in there from like 2 a.m. the next day till like, well, not the next day, the same day till 6 p.m. And I had only dilated to 4 centimeters, even though I was on Pitocin or oxytocin, whatever you like to call it, to try and speed things up. And I was feeling contractions from the Pitocin, but nothing was progressing as they wanted it to. And at this point I was hooked up to like 800 things. Like that's how I felt, like a catheter, antibiotics, fluids, like just everything is hooked up. I had an epidural, so you can't like walk around. My epidural, I don't think it worked so well because I could still move my legs and like wiggle my toes and kind of feel my legs, but I couldn't like feel some parts of my stomach and the top, like it was the top of my legs. It was like really weird, and I could like move, but I didn't get up because I probably would not have been able to walk even though I could still move. But I was still feeling contractions, like it's the weirdest feeling in the world. Like some people told me it feels like you're gonna poop. It didn't feel like that for me. It felt like everything else but my butthole was gonna poop. It was like so terrible, and even with the epidural I could still kind of feel them, and I was really swollen from like them checking me down there, like, and sitting how I was sitting for like hours and hours, because I was in that room for like a day, just sitting in this bed waiting for labor to happen, and it didn't happen. So at around 6 p.m. the OB there came in and told me that like a C-section. Are you okay? Oh, don't cry. Don't cry. You should be napping. Okay. Before I was very rudely interrupted, Eris. No, I'm just kidding, I love her. She's so adorable. At around like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock, the OB came in that was there, and she told me like a C-section would probably be the best option, and I was all for it, so that's what I picked, because I did not want to sit there and wait any longer and get checked anymore. I just wanted her out of me because I was hooked up to make sure my contractions were going, her heartbeat, like all these things were hooked up to me, okay? And I just wanted that to stop, so the faster she came out, the faster those things could go away. And I wasn't opposed to a C-section. I was perfectly fine with having a C-section. I know some people aren't, but I didn't really have a birth plan. I didn't go to the hospital. All I wanted was privacy. Like I didn't, like if I were to deliver vaginally, I didn't want my family in the room except for Jacob. And like I didn't want a lot of people always crowding me, and like I just wanted it to be very kind of private. And that worked out. Everybody always left when I wanted some time alone, and they were very respectful and like that kind of thing. So at around like 8, all my family went home because I was going to have a C-section. And I think I went in at 9 o'clock at night for C-section because the baby was fine, I was fine, her heartbeat was fine, everything was fine. So, but there was like so many other people that went into labor that day that also got C-sections. Like there were 6 C-sections done before I got in to have mine. So I wasn't like, I was totally cool. I was like, yeah, just leave me here, it's fine, like that kind of thing. I don't think I was like Birthzilla or labor, whatever you would call it, kind of person where I was like, I didn't want this, man. Like, no, I was just like, just do what you gotta do. This baby needs to be born. As long as she's born and fine, I'm totally okay with it. And so I went in for a C-section, and literally it's kind of weird. It's not what you expect. I didn't think it was traumatizing. Like, you're obviously in a like surgery room, but the bed, I swear, is like this big. Like, if you were really fat, you would not fit on this bed, and pregnant ladies are really fat sometimes. How? And then I was laying on this bed, and they stick like a wedge pillow on one side of me, so I'm like leaning. I'm like, I'm gonna fall off this bed. And then they tilt the whole bed so I'm straight again, and I was like, then what was the point of putting the wedge pillow under me if you're just gonna tilt me so I'm back feeling like I'm level with the floor? And then they put the curtain up, they put these things on for your arms, so your arms are like out at your sides straight. And then they bring Jacob in, and I had like the anesthesiologist sitting here, the nurse guy, I don't know. I talked to him more than I talked to Jacob, because Jacob's wearing like a cap and gown and a mask and like the whole getup, and all I could see are his eyes, and his eyes were like, mind you, he didn't look over the sheet, I don't think, so he didn't see anything terrible, but like, he just looked like he was not doing good. And later he told me he had a headache and had to go to the bathroom, and like, we had been up for a really long time at this point, him even longer, because he had worked the day before till 10 o'clock at night, and then we went like straight to labor and delivery at 2 a.m. and it was now 9 p.m. that same day. So he had been up for like 2 days almost at this point. And I had been up for a very long time. So I was just like, get this baby out of me. And they did, and obviously I had the epidural, but they gave me more of that, so I couldn't feel anything until like, I guess they were pulling her out, like, because she was face up, and I knew she was face up. For my whole pregnancy, I just knew, because of like how I felt and things like that, I knew she was face up, and that a C-section was probably going to have to happen because she was still very high up. She hadn't dropped, and I went into labor at 39 weeks and 1 day, and I knew she just wasn't going to come down. Even though I sat in the delivery room for like ever and ever trying to get her out. At home, I did everything I could, like squats, dancing, walking, like everything you can think of, everything you could look up to try and get labor to start. I was doing that, and nothing helped. Nothing helped drop her down or turn her or anything like that. So I was getting the C-section, and Jacob was over here on this side of me, and they started pulling her out, and I guess I could feel that, and I was like going like, oh, it hurts. Like kind of like that. So they would like knock me out every few minutes because I would wake up and be like, oh, it hurts. And I did that all the way until they brought me, like, it felt like a contraction, like the contractions I was having from the Pitocin. That's what this pain felt like. So it wasn't like a dying pain, but I was like, I don't like it. Make it go away. And so I was talking to the anesthesiologist. I was like, oh, what kind of stitches do you put in? Because they don't do staples at my hospital. They do a running stitch. So it's one stitch inside of you. It's dissolving, like both stitches are like that. The one on the inside and the incision on the outside. All the stitches are inside, so you can't see them on the outside. You just see your incision line, and that's it. And mine is about this big. Like, it's not that big compared to like when you think people's hands were in there and pulling a human out of you. Like, it's a tiny hole to think. Like, it's pretty much the size of a baby's head, like that wide. It's crazy. So I got back to our delivery room at like 11, so I thought she was born really late at night, but she wasn't. She was born at like, well, she was born late at night at 9:41 p.m. and she weighed 7 pounds 6 ounces, and she was 20 inches long. So she was a good size baby. So I got back in the room at 11 and they gave me 2 milligrams of morphine, I think, to help that weird pain from them pulling her out. And that was fine, and I sat up and I started nursing her, and like everything was cool from then on. I was nursing her in the hospital and she just did not want to sleep, and I don't know if it was like because of how I was nursing, but I don't think she was eating great. So when we got home, I had really bad anxiety from nursing her. Like, it was so bad that even my medication wasn't helping it anymore. At her 2-day checkup, I was a mess. I was crying. Like, her 2-day checkup after she was home, like, we had stayed in the hospital from Thursday to Saturday, and so the following Monday I went for her checkup and I was crying, and I talked to a lactation consultant and everything like that, and we had to start, because there was orange in her diaper, which is like dehydration crystals, I'm guessing, we had to start supplementing with formula, and I made the decision to just exclusively formula feed her. I did really want a nurse. That was the only one thing that I went to the hospital wanting to do, was to be able to breastfeed for the first year of her life. But it, like, I wasn't eating because of my anxiety, and I wasn't drinking enough water, and like there was a lot of factors that led me to exclusively formula feed her, and she is a lot happier now. She is gaining weight, she pees, she poops, she's fine and healthy. She's almost a month old now. She'll be a month old on September 17th, and today I think is the 11th, so she's over 3 weeks old now, and we have a great schedule. She kind of runs the show during the day, but at nighttime her schedule is always the same: bath, feed, bed, and she stays asleep from like 7:30, 8 o'clock till about 12 o'clock at night. Usually, if Jacob doesn't work really early in the morning, he feeds her at that feed while I've been sleeping, and then at like 3 or 4 in the morning she wakes again, and I feed her at that feed, and then she wakes up about sometimes 6:30, 6, 7, somewhere around there, and I wake up with her then and feed her then, and we get ready for our day. I feed her, I feed myself in the morning. Usually I try and entertain her till around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then I get her dressed and ready for the day. Sometimes we go for a walk in the morning, or we go for coffee. Like, I like to take her out because she is so social. She really likes to be outdoors. She really likes the fresh air. She likes to go for walks in her stroller and stuff like that, which I like, but also it's kind of like chilly out now. It's like turning into fall, so eventually we will have to stop the walks because, again, like I said, I don't drive. But we do live pretty close to everything, so I could just like go across the street for coffee with my sister, walk around. Like, we have like a mall type thing, so we could walk around in there where it's warm on winter mornings. Yeah, but that's pretty much it. I will show you her. I won't pick her up because she has just like fallen asleep, and she definitely needs a nap because yesterday was horrendous and she was like awake all day until bedtime. But I'll show you her now. That's her. Eris Morn Lillian Kennedy Petrie. And she was born August 17th, 2017. She weighed 7 pounds, 6 ounces, 20 inches long, and she is almost 1 month old now. At her last doctor's appointment, she weighed 7 pounds, 8 ounces. So a little heavier. I think she's closer to 8 pounds now, but she's huge to me compared to when she was born. That's her. That's pretty much everything. I hope this video I wasn't as all over the place as the other one. I just was not liking the other one. And I was editing it and I'm like, this is shit, so I just redid it. But yeah, I'm gonna go. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!